whole songs. Oh, you have
Oh,
video.
I do because it
Okay.
goes on YouTube.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I should have.
Oh no, don't. Here's
Yeah.
the thing: no one watches it on YouTube, so you're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. The point is, it's the audio is really the big thing because that's what will go out on Spotify,
Okay.
and
You've
then
been getting some listens that way?
yeah, and then I do the YouTube, and the reason that I do YouTube is so that way some people just need the visual medium.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's what it is. So, all right. So Emmett,
Is that you or me?
that is me. Hang on one second here. There we go. So Emmett Pepper,
Yeah.
give me your back. Where's hometown?
I'm from here. I'm from
From
Charleston,
Charleston, West
West
Virginia.
Virginia. And yeah, grew up here and then moved away for undergrad, and then I worked for about 10 years in the Northeast, New York,
Mm-hmm.
Connecticut. And then went to law school in DC later than most people do. Uh, and then yeah, I've been back here since 2012.
So I remember you because I moved to Charleston in 2012 as well.
Okay. I didn't realize
And
that.
yeah. I was working at Prestera
Uh-huh.
back then, and you were with the radio station
WTSQ. Uh-huh.
WTSQ. Yeah,
Yeah.
is that still around? Is like
Yeah, still doing
good.
great.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Are you
they're
still involved?
no, not directly. They haven't kicked me out of their Facebook group yet, so I get to participate in there every once in a while. But no, I get to go on the shows sometimes with people, but I don't have a show anymore. It's
Oh, okay.
once it got to the once I had there was a child involved, I just couldn't
Mm-hmm.
do it. And, so yeah,
So now you're on city council,
yep,
and you were elected.
yep. I was appointed and then and then ran and won. So the next election will be in 2026, the fall.
Are you excited?
Uh, that may not be the exact right word, but no, yeah, it's actually I really enjoy talking to people, going door to door and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Not sure I enjoy the fundraising part of it, but it was a good, it was a exhilarating experience,
Mm-hmm.
and what I do enjoy is the policy making and kind of like working to help people with constituent issues
Mm-hmm.
and that sort of the actual governance part I really like, but sometimes the running for office thing is not
It's
as
hard. No
it's
one wants to run for office.
yeah. I mean, what do they say that Republicans are good at running and Democrats are good at governing? So maybe I fit into that mold.
Probably. Um, so what's going on in Charleston? I mean, I feel like so I haven't lived here for a while.
Yeah,
2020 changed everything, right, for everyone. I mean, I
sure. Yeah.
like I was down. I've gone, I've traveled around the city to places that I used to be just to
Hmm.
see what they look like.
Yeah.
And I've been doing photos and stuff like that. And like, the Broadway's gone. Like, there's a lot
Oh,
of like
right.
local
Yeah.
things that are gone now. And
Yeah.
like, what are the big issues? I mean, well, you are now on the Waste Management Board,
I'm
right?
on the solid waste management board for solid waste authority. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very very exciting. Actually, I mean, so they do recycling, and
Yeah.
so that's been a big issue. When I was appointed to office, it was um, under sad circumstances. My friend and colleague John Bailey, he was the chair of the Environment Recycling Committee for
Mhm.
the city council, and I worked with him to help create. He was actually my former landlord, and I worked with him to help create with Green Team, which is like the citizen advisory body
Mhm.
for sustainability for the city. And in one of these things that just doesn't make any sense and will never make any sense, he was driving and a tree fell from into the road and hit his car. His son was in the back. His son was totally fine, and he died. And so after that, they had to find somebody to fill his spot, and
Mhm.
his widow and the mayor, um, you know, identified me, and that's how I got appointed to this. So,
Awesome.
so recycling is I always see that as kind of like, my one of my main roles in the council is to continue his legacy, and recycling was a big one. So
I love that. Does the city still do trash bags?
no, it doesn't give away the trash bags
Okay, I
anymore.
just like to ask because
Amy got rid of that. The mayor Goodwin got rid of that, which I think is make. I mean,
it makes
why is
sense.
the government involved in giving away trash? I mean, why
I
is
know.
that the thing that they give away? So
I know. I always thought it was the oddest thing when I moved here and someone was like, "Did you get your trash bags?
oh, they loved it.
Do you
Yeah,
mean to go pick your trash bags up for you?" And you may never get them,
yeah,
but someone will pick them up.
yeah. Oh, yeah. And they, the recycling bag. I still have some of those old recycling bags that they would give away.
What's
The
going on with
clear bags.
recycling here? Like,
Yeah, there's been a lot of changes. I don't know when in the timeline some of this stuff happened, but we've been taking all our recycling to um, Beckley to Raleigh County
yeah.
to have it processed there because the one here closed down some years ago, and so they are accepting, but they're charging us like $175 a ton, which is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just in the past 2 months or something the landfill up on the where our city landfill closed,
Yeah.
and they made a transfer station there. So our trash goes to the transportation located at the former landfill, and then they also created a recycling transfer station. So now our recycling doesn't have to. We don't have to drive it all the way down to Beckley. We just take it to this transfer station.
Okay.
They fill it up in tractor trailers, and then that goes to Pittsburgh to get actually a modern sorting facility. So that's so we have like a more cost effective
That's
because it was a
good.
big, suck on, mostly staff time, to
Mm-hmm.
drive down to Beckley and back
Yeah.
every, couple times a week or so.
Yeah. Can I tell you a funny headline? Because this, oddly enough, trash moving has been a topic of discussion,
Okay. All right. Nice.
mostly because of this headline. It smells like death. Small Alabama town endures NYC poop train.
wow. That,
Have you
that
heard
what
about
takes you on
this?
a journey there,
It
doesn't it?
really
Yeah.
does. So apparently, similar. This is New York has lots of solid waste problems, and so they send everything to a sorting station, and they do as much recycling as they can. But one of the things that they do is they ship a lot of their waste to processing landfills that are apparently in Alabama,
Yeah.
and so apparently they do this by rail. And from time to time, those trains break down, and one was stuck in a town for 3 months, full of garbage.
wow.
The town basically, people were like, "You can't come here." Is that bad?
Wow. Yeah.
So I'm glad that we're like figuring it out. Um,
Yeah, so it's funny because my first job out of college in 2000 was working for a group in Virginia, in Richmond,
mhm.
where we were going door to door talking to people about. At the time, Virginia was the number two importer of out of state trash.
Yeah,
Pennsylvania was number one, mostly from New York and New Jersey. And so that was like a whole dynamic of like, don't bring their trash to Virginia, and so that was my kind of entree into environmental policy. At that it happened around the time when I maybe like right before I started working
mhm.
that Rudy Giuliani, America's mayor, said, you know, uh, Virginia people should be honored to take the trash and waste from New York for all of the cultural enrichment that we provide as which of course in Virginia,
Oh
the
yeah, I'm
home of
sure.
Jefferson and Washington, and they didn't like that too
Yeah.
well. So
Well, let me ask. The funny thing is sorry. The other piece to that, I want to back up. I lost my train of thought there. You mentioned DC shipping. Oh, yeah. So let me back up. So, public service, you've talked about like these are community problems, right?
yeah,
These are things that our community wants to deal with.
yeah.
Um, so, now that you're a civic leader, what does it mean to be in community for you? And maybe to reflect on like you represent, I mean, you're at large. So, and you are definitely someone I have known to be in the community and active. And I was in the East End Association and you always showed up there from time to time.
Time, yeah.
And so, just what does it mean now that you get to be a voice, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. And it really, I never expected it to change as much as it did once I was even appointed, not even elected.
Hmm.
People, I mean, on the negative side of things, people treated me, people who I thought were my like friends and allies and, compatriots and working towards the same, because I'm like a policy guy,
Hmm.
advocacy guy.
Yep.
Um, they just started treating me like I was a politician, and it was like almost immediate, like days after being appointed. Like it's like, okay, this is a different thing. This is how things are different now.
Hmm.
And but on the positive side, I mean, I think has been helpful in some ways to have that dynamic, because it made me realize that like I need to. It's going to be easier, and also I've noticed that if I make a phone call, for somebody in city government, my one little thing that I have some kind of influence over, they people generally will pick up the phone,
Hmm.
and maybe that isn't always the case if you're. I think our guys are probably pretty good about it anyway, but you know, sometimes that hasn't been the case in the past for me if I've tried to call someone and get an answer for on a question something I'm curious about.
Hmm.
But that does happen. So those two things kind of together, I think, makes me realize like I need it's easy to say things and to come up with ideas and do things. But listening is really important, and
Yeah.
so making sure that we you know get to a solution that is actually what people want, and actually is reflective of what the public wants. Now, nobody's ever going to be happy about everything all the time, but there's you can at least get that input and to have a sense of where people's heads are on things. And the other thing is the implementation aspect. That was one I learned very quickly. Is that and this is about public service too. It's like not just so one thing I have to take things. People come to me with things, and it's like, yeah, that is ridiculous. Why are we doing it that way? Government should be doing things better. So then like I go and again they take the call.
Hmm.
So I go to them and I say, well, why aren't you doing it this way? This is and then I've
You
come to
learn.
realize that these are people who this is their job. This is
Hmm.
their full time job, not just somebody who's like like thinking about something for 10 minutes. And they almost invariably had well reasoned, well thought out responses to the things that I was saying, and that nobody had thought, that I hadn't thought about, that the person had thought about. And so, just I also see my role as kind of being going back and forth between those two things. Is
Communicator.
yeah, a
Yeah.
communicator and a
Connector.
liaison or whatever,
Yeah.
to kind of like communicate, to be like, because sometimes people in government not always are is in tune with what's happening, what the public is thinking, or what people on social media is good for them that they stay off, are saying. But then the people in those situations in the public haven't really thought through the deep implications of, well, if you're somebody who has to consider all, limited resources, everybody's impacts, what's going to be best for the most people.
Hmm.
uh, they maybe haven't thought all of that through, and so to be able to convey, well, yes, that's a good point, but think about, there is something here that we haven't talked about, and this would be the negative impact to someone else if we didn't think through their impact. Um, so yeah, that process has been really enriching, and
Hmm.
really it's exciting for me, and probably sounds really boring for a lot of people, but it's fun for me to be able to like make those connections, and that's how like real change happens, right? Is that you
Hmm.
can actually, you know everybody's on board, the people implementing it, the public can be on board to the, again, not everybody's going to like everything, but and there's but if we can kind of try to marry those two things and get the best solution, then that's what we should be going for, I think. And then we can move things in the right direction. That's what's best for everybody.
So you mentioned you're going to run for election in 2026.
I did, although I haven't, announced anything or anything. So
Oh yeah, that's fine.
yeah,
You've not done it. We'll just say 2026 is the next election. How
that
about
is the
that?
next election, and
And it's
I can.
the 250th of the
Oh, the
U.S.
United States. Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So you know, what are your thoughts on government service?
Um,
Having had a taste now, you know what I mean?
yeah. No, I think it's important. I think we need more people involved with the government, not fewer. And that's what I think. So I mentioned the working with John Bailey to create the green team. That's
Hmm.
getting people, the regular residents, into government. It's a quasi way, but it's in a recommendations kind of way. But that's really powerful. I think we need to have more people involved. City of Charleston, we have the largest city council of any city council for a city our size in the whole country.
Hmm.
There are very few city councils that have more than us of any size, and I think that's a really good thing. I think that our wards are really small. Like,
Hmm.
any person running for office in any ward could probably
Walk
cover
through
the
a
whole
district,
thing
yeah.
2 or 3 times in an election. And talk to every single person who wants to talk to them. Certainly voters. And so, I think that's a good thing. And we have our ward representatives are very committed and very focused and in touch with what's happening in their actual neighborhoods.
Hmm.
And I think I was an at-large person. I represent the larger. We have 45 to 50,000 people in our city, and um, so I do have to. I can't be quite as parochial about one thing or the other or my specific
Yeah.
neighborhood, but so I do have to kind of have that broader look about, well, what are the impacts of this? Is it fair if this one area has this one thing or doesn't? And
You're looking at inner city issues,
yeah,
right?
that's right,
Which is a
across
good
the
thing.
city. Yeah, so it's not just what happens. I live on the east end near the Capitol. It's
Hmm.
not just what happens there. It's also what happens in the West Side Flats, but also South Hills.
Yeah. Yeah. I've lived in all those areas for the most part. So it's
Is
been
that
kind of
right?
fun. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Oh, well, I've lived near the west side. I've not lived in the west side
Uh
yet,
huh.
or the flats, but I've worked over that way.
Yeah.
I, I will tell you this, Emmett, like I'm just really happy that you're in public office.
Thank you. Thank you.
And the reason why is that so one of the reasons I'm doing this project is because there are a lot of I have a good friend who's younger than both of us who was a city council person in northern Kentucky.
Okay. Cool.
He did not last a year.
Oh wow.
And
Hmm.
when I asked, I've interviewed him before, and he just talked about the fact that I got into public service because I wanted to do, this was the issue, right,
Uh
that I
huh.
took, right? And he said, and I had a lot of folks in my community that wanted me to help with this and to do other things. But then I also realized of all the things that I was also going to have to get phone calls for. And he said, that was fine. And I made a lot of calls and I made a lot of connections. But I think the problem was is he never thought about no one teaches you how to run or be a public official,
No.
right? There's no
Yeah.
handbook for it.
No. I think they sometimes have that in the legislatures and stuff, but they didn't have one for city council.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. Um, so what are the issues of Charleston today? I mean, it seems like our East End, I drove down, Tricky Fish is there, but like the Indian restaurant that was there is gone, I think. And it seems like the main street is a little bit rough. And by the way, this is not like I'm just asking you your
Yeah.
opinion.
No. I mean, I think the, the major issues that we've had for a long time is population loss,
Mhm.
lack of economic diversity, and opportunities. So I mean, I think what can city government do about that? I mean, we can't create jobs out of nothing, but what we can do is we can make it so that it's easier for small businesses, especially,
Yeah.
to meet their own needs, meet the needs that do the things that they have to do to get off the ground, and try
Mhm.
to help make it easier for them from the city side of things.
Mhm.
And so, that was one of the first things I worked on, was to get a small business liaison position, which we have, and she's great.
I love it.
Um, to kind of help with that, to not, part of it is to make sure that they know, like, these are business and occupation taxes. You have to, like, pay these. You have to.
Mhm.
These are the registrations you have to get. These are the things that these, and just, but also just to help them, like, if they have an issue that comes up, what can we do about it? What can
Mhm.
we? And so I think we need to do more about that stuff. I don't feel like I'm well suited to, like, let me try to get some gigantic employer to come here. Like, I don't. That's not my skill set.
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah, yeah.
anything about that. But we do need that. But
Hmm.
I don't feel like I have much that I can add in that regard. But I do think that I understand, some of that, some of that.
The economic development side of it.
Just that, yeah, I don't understand the economic development. I know that, like, if there are policies that could be streamlined, I can kind of understand that.
Yeah.
And just like having somebody there can be a help. Somebody who knows something
Hmm.
about the different grants that are available, the different opportunities, different trainings, and things like that.
Well, I think that speaks to your earlier statement about like we need more people in government, right?
That's
Like
right.
because we need more expertise and more knowledge and more
Yeah,
experience,
yeah, and
lived or otherwise.
somebody to connect those dots. The other thing, I mean, I think that, the reasons that people live in a place. I mean, you should tell me, but maybe you can react to this. I think are, they have a job there, or they have family slash, close friends connections to people
Hmm.
there, and they like it there.
Yeah.
And like, I don't, so if we can do something, I mean, we can do what we can on the jobs, if helping have third spaces that facilitate at least
Hmm.
making the
Yeah.
friends
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Maybe we can start doing dating games or something. I'm just kidding. But then I think really, what we can do is create a sense of space.
Hmm.
And I think one thing that's changed since you lived here is like Plaza over, I
Oh,
mean,
I mean, it's amazing. I've taken
yeah,
pictures of that
yeah.
this week. I actually sat there. So one of the things I'm doing in Winston Salem, which is where I live now.
Okay, yeah. Curious about that.
Um, no, no, no,
Yeah.
no. Really, it's because I. So right now in the city of Winston Salem, there is currently a battle between the citizens and the city over an amphitheater in the downtown Winston Salem area, and
Oh yeah.
I have mixed feelings about it.
Yeah.
It's nearby. I live in the downtown Winston area. I have mixed feelings because there's a lot of like it's the South,
Yeah. Yeah.
and politics. Let's just say
Yeah.
that. Well,
Uh-huh.
and we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of citizens who feel like they've lost their voice and like their housing is not being reflected and they're being pushed out of their neighborhoods. And this amphitheater is really kind of controversial because of its location, where it's going to be replacing something.
What was there before?
So there had been like a school facility in that space before.
Okay.
But here's the thing: the person who wants to pay for it and do it owns a multi-million-dollar built empty retail commercial building,
Okay.
and it was financed at like $50 per square foot of
Okay.
rental price,
Uh-huh.
and nowhere in our town rents for that. So you see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
he created this AAA. He paid all this money, invested into it, and now no one is. He can't get businesses to move in.
Yeah.
So the bank is like. So his
Yeah.
idea is that he wants to increase the property values around it and then sell it to a developer and get rid of it. But he also has a lot of money.
Yeah.
He's a local. He would be the equivalent of like a Chris Miller
Uh-huh.
to the area. So he or basically this is a big hot topic, but I love Slack Plaza because I remember when you would walk from there to like Ellen's,
Yeah. Hmm.
and you go down Fife,
Yeah.
and it was, you know,
It's kind of
there was a
sad.
nice odor
Yeah.
that would waft from all the dumpsters that
Yeah.
lined that alleyway.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so now it's like I can't get over it. I took
Yeah.
pictures of it. I love the swings. I love the design. I
Mm.
actually posted that this is a great example of like very thoughtful laid out design work because it doesn't seem to displace people from the space,
Yeah.
but it actually enhances the space and gives it more of a presence and people move through it differently.
Oh
Does that make
yeah.
sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. I mean, before it was kind of this weird, you had to kind of like go
Mm-hmm.
angles and stuff like that, and
Oh,
then
it was brutal, is what it was. It was like all
yeah, it
concrete,
was. It
and you had
was.
all the anti-homeless architecture that was there, which
Yeah.
still exists, but it is what
In
it
some
is.
ways, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The spikes. I think she took the spikes up when she got in office, but yes, it was. But no, I mean, it's like night and day different, and
Oh, it's
and
amazing.
that area has really uh, improved, and it's become kind of a center to the city
So
That's the
what's
main
going
thing.
on with the town center? Sorry,
The mall, yeah. I mean, so the owner of the mall
I'll cut
is
all this out.
no, it's fine.
I was
The
curious.
owner of the mall is has I there was an op-ed a couple months ago about that their business model is that they have malls that succeed, and then they use the malls that don't succeed to basically like accelerated depreciation over time
Mm-hmm.
to write off um, the revenues of the malls that do succeed. And
Yeah.
so, um,
Is the owner local here?
no,
Okay.
they're a whole group. They're out of Georgia,
Okay.
and so I think they've boarded up, or not boarded, but they've created white walls
Mm-hmm.
and just like walled off
Yeah.
big sections. Have you been inside of it?
I walked through it. I stayed at the Marriott, which is in rough shape, by the way.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Um, and yeah, and I just walked over to the mall because it was. I
Yeah,
just wanted to see. People had told me they're like it's not what it was, and I was like I figured it wasn't, but
yeah. I mean, it's
I'm
really. I
really
mean, even in the
disappointed.
last 10 years, it's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
But Macy's is gone, Sears is gone. They tore those down, and they're just
yeah.
like empty spaces there. And I'm like,
And there's
what
a
are you gonna do with
proposal
that?
for
Hotel or something, or a
well,
sports complex?
sports complex. Yeah, that would be on the Macy's side, I think,
Mm-hmm.
and would take up part of the parking garage potentially. And but I don't know where that is. I think finances of it's above
It's
my
all
pay
right.
grade.
Yeah, it's fine. The reason I asked too is one of the things that we see in our community is that we've got a lot of developers that are coming in and taking industrial brownfield sites like old, like I live in a 1910 um, textile mill
Hmm.
in downtown Winston.
Yeah.
Made blankets for World War
Wow.
I. So you have spaces like that where they're converting into these luxury loft apartments, right?
Hmm.
But the companies that are doing them are like based out of Newport News or Georgia or wherever.
Hmm.
And I don't think that the average citizen is aware of like what the economics of that look like. And I think the Chamber of Commerce, just in general, like struggles with this to some extent because they want to support local businesses and they want to support, economic development and growth. The problem though is that we have one building here, we have one building that was just completed and just opened. It was purchased for less than $1 million. They financed the renovation in the purchase,
Hmm.
and then renovated it. And the income off this is $3 million a year.
Hmm.
That is based on the average rent and
Yeah.
90% occupancy.
Uh
That money, we don't have B&O, so
huh.
that money goes directly to Virginia,
Yeah.
and the people who live there that pay rent there, that money does not stay in the community. It just is a constant outflow.
Hmm.
And what we're finding is Brookings just did a study on Winston-Salem's downtown housing, and there's a lot of problems with it. But one of the things that they mention is that it takes so long to fill our residential housing in the downtown that it's not necessarily the most beneficial to do that.
Hmm.
But almost all of our downtown housing is like ridiculously expensive, more so than we thought that it would be.
Yeah.
But our attorney general suing all these rental companies for antitrust
Oh, interesting.
stuff.
Because
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
they're like colluding to have
Because they're
the rate go
colluding
up.
to adjust rent prices. So yeah, it's just wild. But yeah, I feel like Charleston still feels like there's a lot going on and a lot of things happening. The new Civic Center space looks
Yeah. Oh,
amazing.
that's right. Yeah. Yeah. That's looking good. It's a great location for events and stuff like that.
All right, last couple questions because
Okay.
kept you here too long
Well, I
probably.
kept
We've
you
got to get
waiting
out of
too
here.
long, so sorry about that.
So, nonprofit world here in what are your thoughts? What's going on here? Who are the movers and the shakers that you're paying attention to?
I mean, it probably hasn't changed a whole lot. I mean, so one thing, I mean, I guess I just like focus on my own stuff most of the time, so I feel bad saying that, but I'm proud of some of the work we've been doing. It's a coalition we call West Virginians for Energy Freedom,
Hmm.
and the concept behind it from the policy perspective is two things. One is that, well, just backing up, I mean, West Virginia has some of the fastest growing or increasing electric rates in the country,
Hmm.
or bills. And so, you know, we're coming at this as wanting to do something about that and to push back on, some of what's been causing that. Why is that happening? And so the two things that we push for are giving people more opportunities to actually take control of their own energy bills on their own by reducing energy costs
Hmm.
through efficiency or solar or anything like that, to actually do something to reduce costs, or to have support for people who are low income. And then secondly, to not pay for electric infrastructure that's going to be expensive, that's more expensive than it would if we just use the free market.
Hmm.
So a lot of the times that means, for instance, right now we have a case at the utility regulators that deals with power plants running when it would be more cost effective to just buy it from somewhere else. It's a
Hmm.
coal fired power plant that they're just running all the time because they bought too much coal and they just have to run it even though where they're losing money. Which, when they lose money, we pay for it. So
Oh no, I mean, I love that. What was it? There was a year that we had like record high temperatures, and the you know they were burning coal no
yeah,
matter what.
yeah,
They're like, we're going to burn this amount of coal no matter whether
yeah,
we need it or not.
yeah.
When was the last rate hike in West Virginia?
I mean,
It
there's
feels like it's
multiple
yearly.
every year. It seems
Okay.
like, there's actually two pending right now, and so we'll be getting the answers on those in the next couple weeks, probably.
Hmm. Um, I'm trying to think of what other you were involved in. There was a justice organization.
Oh, what Citizen Action Group?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and so they're one of my clients on those
Okay.
cases. So, yeah, there was a while there. I was working three jobs. I
I
was,
remember you were like
yeah.
everywhere.
I was working at the law firm where we are right now, and doing private practice, mostly bankruptcy law, which I'm still doing. And I had a paycheck from West Virginia Citizen Action Group, and then I was lobbying for Mountain State Justice at the legislature.
Hmm.
So thankfully, I was able to eventually get all those under one roof. And now I'm not doing the lobbying anymore for MSJ, but um, you know, it's all they just pay the law firm, and then I get paid one paycheck. So
That's even better,
that's
right?
nice to not have to deal with all that tax stuff. But yeah, so Citizen Action Group, they just actually had a big change.
Hmm.
Um, uh, Gary Zuckett was the executive director for probably
Forever.
a long time, maybe
He's
20
the only
years
one
or
I ever
something.
knew. Yeah.
Yeah, and so he just retired like a couple weeks ago, and Danny Parent is the new executive director.
Okay.
She's doing a great job, and it seems like things are just seamless transition, just to kind of keep things moving. So
Awesome.
that's been cool. They own their own house, their office, as you
I
may
lived next door
recall.
to them.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I lived in. I was on there. You're talking about the one like next to Bradford.
No, no, their
Oh, have they
house.
moved
Oh, I
yet?
knew what you're talking about. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
no, this is up on Dixie Street.
Oh, okay.
But yeah.
Yeah, I lived with them when they were right there on when they had the house that was on the corner of Bradford and whatever.
Oh,
big old house.
uh
Gary
huh.
just hung out on the porch most of the time. So
That's funny.
yeah, I've had. I think everyone has a good Gary story
Oh yeah, yeah.
though. Thinking about philanthropy, thinking about what people give to, like, what are you seeing as far as like how has your philanthropy changed in the last couple of years, or do you see it changing in the next couple of years? And maybe that's who you give to, who you support. You don't have to name anyone. You can
Yeah,
say,
I mean, well, it has changed. I mean, but this is like all for like personal
yeah.
things that have happened. I mean, so like, I mean, we had, as I mentioned before, so my oldest son is 7.5 right now. And so, that was, we wanted to, once he was kind of older, we wanted to start taking him to a church to where he'd have
Mhm.
like some kind of structure for kind of ethical conversations and ethical concerns and stuff. And so, um, right about when he was about the right age, COVID happened, so we weren't doing that.
Mhm.
There were lockdowns, and then there was just a lot of concern about, we had family members who had, I mean, compromised and stuff. So
Yeah.
we weren't doing any of that. But and then we had another baby, so then it was like, okay, well, we don't want to have. That was and he's 2 now, and so we weren't going to do that. But then, like, once he got to be like about a year old or whatever it was, it was just like, well, we're probably at the point now where he could probably, like,
Mhm.
we could take him to a nursery and not worried about it. Um, so that's what we did, and so we started going to church. So that's been a big change. Is just like having regularly giving to a church, which I
Yeah,
was not
yeah.
doing before, um, and I think I feel much more of a connection to the city of Charleston now. So I'm probably, in terms of sponsoring things, or
Oh, yeah. I
just
guess you do kind
a
of
little more of that stuff.
enter into that world where you've got to, you know, how many bean dinners are you going to go to this year? That's the
I mean,
question.
I literally just dropped off. I can't say I do this a lot,
No, no,
but
no. You're
I
fine.
literally just dropped off a check for a little league, signs on a little league field. Three little league fields. But
I
those
love
is,
it. I love it.
yeah.
But I always. So, did you ever know Cleo Matthews? Do you know who she was?
Name sounds familiar.
So Cleo Matthews is a former mayor of Hinton.
Oh, okay.
Her
Okay.
daughter, Cynthia Matthews Burwell.
Yes.
So
Yes.
most people know of her.
Yes.
Um, but I grew up like right over the hill, and I knew Cleo pretty well. And like,
Okay.
it's always interesting because she basically was like, I got into public service because I wanted to plant trees and park benches and flowers.
Uh-huh.
And
Is
she's
that where you grew
like,
up? Is that in Hinton?
I grew up in Beckley.
Beckley. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I've lived all over West Virginia. So
Yeah.
my mom's family's from like Webster County. My dad's family's from Raleigh. My I've got a book coming out in the next year. So
Okay. All right. I'll read the book. All right.
I'll send
Sounds
you a
good.
copy. How about that? But no, it's just kind of to me, it's one of those things where it's just kind of, I think West Virginia gets a bad rap just in general. But I think that you don't appreciate things until you don't see them anymore. And sometimes we take for granted or make assumptions about other places. I mean, I've worked in Ohio, Kentucky, and North Carolina now since I officially left West Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
And it has been interesting because it's like there are things that I saw here, and I'm like, they just do not do in other states. Like they're not as emphasized.
Yeah. Like trash bags.
Well, like trash, like silly trash bags. But no one does this. But you know what? The funny thing about anyway, let's not talk about trash bags.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Hinton, that's the other thing too.
Yeah.
To back up while I mention this.
Sorry.
Yeah. When you were talking about waste, you do
Mhm.
know about the radioactive waste in Hinton.
I don't know. Why do you know?
So back in the 1950s, there was a huge campaign to not dump radioactive waste in the hills and hollers around Hinton.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was a ton of like Manhattan Project stuff. There was tons of like nuclear. This was the
Wow.
period of time where we were building nuclear submarines
Yeah.
and all
Yeah.
these other things. And so there was all this waste.
Hmm.
And like Tennessee is probably the best example of like how this is a nightmare.
Yeah.
But there we're going to take soil and all this stuff like that and just dump it in areas of Hinton. So if you drive through certain areas of there's still a sign
Mm-hmm.
that's up that's barely visible now that says no radioactive waste in our community or something like that.
Yeah. Huh.
And so it's kind of interesting. And then they also tried to dump through Mile Island trash in Hinton as well. So
Why Hinton? Oh, is there a landfill there or something? That's
I think
special
it was
landfill?
a site that was just identified for
Huh.
those kinds of purposes, I guess. But
It's kind of like the basis of Stranger Things, isn't it? Something like that.
yeah, probably. All right. Anything else that anything you want to share or think about? And the focus of my podcast is really more about like community, philanthropy, and giving back and what that means and how you balance time, talent, and treasure.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was interesting when you brought up time, balancing time, talent, and treasure. I mean, I think that's always. I never think about the treasure part. I don't know why,
Well, you've
but
got the time and the talent, so
I don't have the treasure. Maybe that's what it is.
and that's okay.
Yeah, I think balance. I think this has become kind of a hot topic right in the last few years. Is work life balance
Mhm.
and those sorts of things, and how do you balance? How do you well one of the things I think about a lot is like as I came from kind of the organizing background, like I mentioned, going door to door, and I deal with people who are organizers, and
Mhm.
you know have noticed that there's a burnout that can happen for people who, if you that you can drive people and really push people, and they will do a lot. They will increase their workload, and they will
Mhm.
do more, and they can kind of sustain their outrage for some period of time. But unless you're the right kind of person, you can't sustain it forever.
Yeah.
And so you have to kind of like care for yourself, and you have to kind of care for, um, your own mental well being. And that's something that I feel like I've gotten a lot better at with age, is just to understand like, I know that there are things that I have to, that I could be there. There are standards that I could be meeting. I know what the standards are,
Mhm.
but I also know what my own abilities are, my own limits are, in terms of like how much work I can do,
Yeah.
and so I just have to, there's times I have to be like, I can't do that. I can't.
Mhm.
Yeah, this is going to have to be good enough,
Yeah.
and it's not even about feeling disappointed or anything. It's just that's the time. This is where I am. This
Mhm.
is the thing I can do, and This is it, and I am doing the best that I can,
Yeah.
because if I don't care for myself, then yeah, maybe this one project will be slightly better, but the project three, months down the road is going to be terrible, because I'm going to
Mhm.
be crashing and mad and all this stuff. And so one of my mantras is to kind of like keep me in that, which I think everybody's heard this phrase, is the perfect is the enemy of the good. It's like,
Mhm.
like, let's get it to good, and it's not about, let's get it pretty close to perfect if we can.
Yeah.
Sometimes it has to be perfect, depending on what it is. Um but we can't be perfect. We can't do all things and be perfect at everything. We have to do what we can, in the ways that we can.
Yeah. One of my mentors used to say to me that as long as at the end of the day you can say that you did the best, you can always improve.
Yeah,
Like no one's going to say that you can't make something better, right?
yeah,
But like as long as you did everything that you could to get the best outcome,
that's right.
why can you complain? The other advice that another one of my advisors gave me, or my mentors early in my career, was never work at a nonprofit for a nonprofit, because what ends up happening is that if you cannot take care of yourself, you cannot take care of or serve the organization that you work for.
Yeah,
And I think that's so true. So yeah,
that's absolutely, yeah, exactly
yeah,
right.
yeah. All right, Emmett. That's, I think, if you've got any other words of
No,
wisdom,
no,
anything.
yeah, I hope that I give you everything, give you enough that you can use it.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. What I do is I listen to these sometimes, and there will be things from the conversations that I want to pull from, and there are going to be themes for different episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'm doing, but they're all different. So like I'm doing one on educational accessibility that's titled "Shaping the Class,"
Mm-hmm.
and it's basically looking at access for historically underserved students in education, and how a lot of the data that people see that they think is really exceptional is very misleading.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're walking through some of that. And I was just over at UC this morning interviewing their executive vice president of enrollment management. I was at Furman meeting with their enrollment management person. So we're talking about that kind of thing. Because what's happening is that in the higher ed world is that we are diverging dramatically into kind of this weird, if you can afford it system.
Mm.
And, the school vouchers, Winston-Salem is laying off 350 school faculty,
Wow.
um, while the state's private schools are raising tuition, and the state is subsidizing that private tuition rate through a voucher system.
Yeah.
So it's rough, and like I think the thing is people are starting to feel it. And what I'm hearing on the in one of the things I'm hearing a lot of people talk about is like the lack of represent. Like I don't know who to talk to. Like I don't know who my voice is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like there are people who go into a city council meeting or a county commission meeting and literally get up and say, I do not know who represents me here. So if you can raise your hand, I would greatly appreciate it. And so that way they can
Yeah.
direct their comments to them. That's
Yeah.
how disconnected a lot of people seem to be with their government. And that's not the way it's been.
They need to grow their city council size just like we do.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what they need to do.